Welcome to the Thought Brothers. Today is August 9th, 2023. And you know what people are talking about? They're talking about the brawl for it all. At least that's what I'm calling it. And so we got our Thought Brother, Mr. Bill Spivey. He's also known as the researcher. Some people say he's an agitator. We're going to turn it over to Bill. Carlos is on a much needed vacation, and Doc Bryson is still doing a special assignment somewhere. So Brother Bill, go right ahead, kick us off. And introduce our guests.
It looks like we have Mr. Richard Brown down here at the bottom, and we got CJ Johnson here on the other end. I'm gonna start it off, brothers. If you notice, I'm wearing my USA shirt. And the reason I'm wearing that is that was the shirt that one of the golfers won the Olympics in. This is an Olympic shirt, but I'm really wearing it because I just wanted to celebrate Mr. Aaron Rudolph, the 16-year-old swimmer that jumped off the boat and jumped in the water with the rescue of the co-captain at the riverboat. I think it's known as the Montgomery Brawl. Some people call it the Riverfront Brawl. But it was an incident involving a young man who happened to be African-American who was just doing his job and was trying to move a pontoon boat 3 feet so that the riverboat could dock. And the owner of the pontoon boat didn't take kindly to his boat being moved 3 feet. And he and his friends decided they were going to jump the co-captain, who happened to be an African-American gentleman. And it didn't work out real well for them. It started off well, but it ended kind of bad. So CJ, have you been keeping up with this? Tell me what you think about it.
I have unfortunately kept up with this way too much. I've seen this fight from every angle. I've seen every bit of commentary on TikTok. This is more entertaining than the last 3 Marvel movies. The fight choreography, impeccable. We had so many great storylines. I mean, where do we start? First of all, my man tossed his hat up like the bat signal and summoned more Black people. Like, my man swam to, he might be the first Negro to swim to a fight ever. Like, I ain't never seen that. Like, that's peak athletic performance. That takes some endurance. Then, I mean, there's just so many layers, man. Like, there's so many things. My man went buck wild with a steel chair like it was WWF SummerSlam. There was so many things going on. But it was a great day for justice. I just want to note that the inventor of the folding chair is a Black man, because he knew a day would come. He knew a day would come when we would need to overcome some white supremacy. And now the folding chair has become a symbol of our resistance, as the folding chair has now become an iconic item of F around and find out. So yeah, good job all around. I think it's even on a more serious note, it's a great story because, as other people noted, you don't usually see a situation like that where the white people clearly, utterly in the wrong in every way, and there's no ambiguity about it. There's really no way to spin it. Like I said, it was just a brother trying to do his job. You can hear the commentary of the people on the boat explaining the situation, like, oh, these guys won't move. So, like, yeah. And then all of them got arrested too. It's great. It's a great day. It's a great day for justice. I mean, Black power.
Well, you know, one of the things I read, which seems a little crazy, is that they tried to get these people to move the boat, and they were talking to them over the loudspeaker, asking them to move the boat. And then once they didn't move the boat, that's when the gentleman, Damon, got on the boat with a 16-year-old who took him across to the pier, and he moved the boat, I think he was moving it a total of 3 feet in order for the riverboat to dock. And that's when these guys decided to go off. Richard, you've been keeping up with this.
Yes, I have. Just to piggyback off of what CJ said, I didn't believe it when I saw it. And I have a newfound respect for the folding chair. And for sure, definitely the real MVP was the lady, the young woman who broadcasted the incident. I think Skip Bayless has found a new replacement for Shannon Sharp for FS1. And also, you know, it's like Roland Martin said, you want to get into good trouble. This was good trouble, necessary trouble to get into. And, you know, I think it was necessary. I think, it's unfortunate that it kind of ended up like this, but this should be, cause for an alert for folks to just, mind their business and if you're going to do something like this, this is the consequences, that you're going to face.
Okay. Gary, what's your thought?
Let me get off mute. My thought is, first of all, we are not advocating violence, but we are celebrating justice. That's what we're doing. Finally, as CJ put it, the world recognizes what happened and the outcome was finally justified. But I'm telling you, when that brother tossed his hat in the air, that was like the bat signal, man. And that was it. I think everybody has seen the video, but there's so many parodies, there's so many memes of the video that are just as creative, all within like 24 hours. Let's take a look at one of the memes that's gotten a lot of views on TikTok. All right, so this is one of the reenactments on TikTok. Let's take a look. That was pretty fast and pretty creative.
You know, one of the videos I watched, it was really, and like you said, we're not celebrating violence, but it was really hilarious because a woman, I think she was in a red dress or a blue dress, came up behind one of the guys and started beating on him. And he turned around and saw that it was a woman and he didn't hit her. And two sisters came out of nowhere and said, "We got her." And unfortunately, she made the grave mistake of hitting the ground. And once she hit the ground, she met her match. She was kicked and she was stomped or whatever.
She got a two-piece.
What do you say?
She got a two-piece.
She got a two-piece.
Four-piece.
Well, you know, I've been trying, you know, Gary and them always call me the researcher. I've been trying to do some researching because one of the guys involved in this supposedly has had a run-in before with the law, and he was the guy who owned the pontoon boat. So this apparently is not his first charade with the police. And also, from what I understand, the Memphis Police Department contacted the FBI because they were looking at this as possibly trying to charge a hate crime, because the captain of the boat is trying to say that this was racially motivated. But apparently the FBI said they didn't consider it a hate crime, so they won't be filing any federal charges under the hate crime. So they're just being charged basically with assault. And there's three gentlemen. One of them has turned himself in. The other two, as of yesterday afternoon, had not turned themselves in, and arrest warrants were issued for them.
Actually, got to give a shout out to the cops in this situation too, because, you know, a lot of times that could have went south. They could have been shooting people and all that. The cops almost for like a little bit cool. They let that ass whooping go on for quite a bit. And they were just kind of standing around, just kind of like, oh man, oh. And there was no urgency to assist because, you know, those people were clearly in the wrong. They only stepped in when homeboy went crazy with the chair, and they're like, okay, you gotta chill. We gotta arrest him because we gotta arrest you. You can't. That's a weapon. But other than that, they were pretty much letting it fly. So shout out to those cops.
Yeah, shout out to the cops.
It was two ladies kept screaming. They were videoing apparently, and they were pointing out who to arrest. And the police even came up to them and asked them, "Do you all have video?" And the girl said, "Oh yeah, look here. You need to arrest her." So then they went and arrested. They did arrest a couple of females, but apparently they did not charge them. They just basically charged the three guys, the owner of the pontoon boat and two of his buddies.
Yeah, it was almost like watching a hockey match, you know, when guys get in the center of the ice and just go for it. I was saying the same thing. You know, the cops kind of fall back and just let those guys and gals just have it, you know, and they said, all right, enough's enough, penalty, get in your penalty box, you know, and keep going, you know. But it was kind of strange to see that. They were almost like they were like enjoying it, you know.
Well, like I said, we're not celebrating this, but just to kind of change the subject slightly, I'm sure one person was glad to see all this come into the news, and that's your former president, number 45, with the charges that he's looking at now, 3 indictments. So this kind of overtook the his situation as it is right now.
What's this guy got? 74 indictments right now? I mean, 74 felonies? I think he's got 7. Yeah.
I think he's got 100 charges. And
Yeah.
and the crazy thing was he was indicted here last Thursday. And he was charged, fingerprinted. Again, no photo was taken, but he was fingerprinted and went before the magistrate. And the magistrate specifically told him that, you know, you can't do certain things. And one of the things was getting on Twitter and running his mouth. In less than 24 hours, he gets on Twitter and he says, if you come after me, I'm going to come after you. And he basically talking about Smith, who is the attorney that is the assistant U.S. attorney that's running this investigation. So needless to say, from what I understand, he's back in court again. And they went before Judge Chunkin, who happens to be an African-American female. And I understand his lawyers tried to do a tap dance and said that they couldn't be in court next week because they had some other cases they were working on. And she supposedly runs a very tight ship. And her only comment was, I will see you here Friday morning at 10 o'clock. And she squashed that. Y'all got any opinion on, have you been keeping up with what's going on?
Oh, man. How can you not keep up with this, man? This guy, okay, white nationalist, deranged sociopath. He got pissed because they referred to him as Mr. Trump and not President Trump. So, I mean, and I know it's killing him to have to be subservient in front of a Black person and a Black woman. But let me tell you, man, this guy's he's totally off the chain. And I think he is deliberately doing and saying all these things because he's got no other defense except for these numbnuts that support him to say he's a victim. So he wants them to gag order him. He wants them to try to put him in jail because that's the only thing that his followers will believe. Look at what they're doing. Yeah. They're not smart enough to follow the law. How much money is he diverted from them to pay his legal bills? And they still paying for him. Man, don't get me started on this dude. I still believe when it's all said and done, he will be convicted and go to jail. People say, well, what are you going to do with the Secret Service? They do shifts just like they're doing the other work. They just do shifts and writing. Let me turn it over to somebody else.
No, go ahead.
No, my whole thing was, have you seen the polls lately? Because he keeps up on Joe Biden and a lot of polls. He could legitimately win the presidency from jail.
That's right.
That's what we're looking at. That is how pathetic the Democrats and Joe Biden have been because they're like, what, like you said, what is Trump offering other than he's got a cult? He's got a cult that is so loyal to him that they will vote for him no matter what. Even if he's in jail for 87 felonies, they're going to say it's all fake news. It's all a conspiracy to get their guy because he's so, and so it's like he has that undying fanaticism of his followers, even if it's a small percent of the country. Joe Biden don't have that. There is nobody excited to vote for Joe Biden, not even mildly excited. He only got there because people didn't like Trump. And what are we're right back where we started. We're actually in a worse place when we started. Now we have super old, even older Joe Biden who doesn't know where he's at versus super felon Donald Trump is what we're looking at in the election as our two favorites right now.
So CJ, let me ask you something. Do you think he's gonna go to jail?
I don't know. People that are rich and powerful usually never go to jail for anything. So I'm not really holding my breath on him going to jail. He's bought more judges and politicians than most people have. So, I mean, maybe, hopefully he goes to jail. I mean, I'm sure he committed most of those, if not all those crimes. But I mean, most people like that, billionaire, trust fund, people like that, they don't ever see consequences for their actions. So I wouldn't hold my breath for that to actually happen. Maybe because the Democrats are so politically motivated to get him in jail because they know they can't beat him, which is utterly pathetic on all sides. But that's the only way I could see it. The Democrats really pushing hard because they're so scared of losing to him because they don't really have anything to run. Even if Biden, you know, somehow didn't make it or to the election, Kamala Harris is way more unpopular than he is. So that's not helpful. And they don't really have anybody in the wings. So it's looking like Trump or Ron DeSantis if Trump's in jail or somebody like that. And, you know, we'll still get nowhere.
Basically what you're saying, if you throw Trump and DeSantis in a barrel, whichever one of them crawl out first, you still got the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, Trump, I think, has more charisma with the people that follow him. I mean, obviously not for people like us, but for, you know, for the people that actually like him. And Ron DeSantis has the charisma of a wet paper towel. So, I mean, I don't think I think just like what happened last time for the field, I feel like a lot of people are going to try to take the reins from Trump and be the heir apparent because he's probably going to go to jail and he's old, but they don't have the cult that he has. They're all just establishment robot politicians who are on the same talking points, who have nothing to offer. Like Ron DeSantis is over here banning AP psychology and African-American studies and fighting over beer cans and Bud Light. He has nothing substantive to offer. So he knows that. None of the Republicans do. And neither does Trump. But what he does have is a cult. He has a cult of people, like I said, who will vote for him. Even if they literally said he can murder someone on Fifth Avenue and, you know, they're going to vote for him. So that is what is unique to Trump, even though and what still makes him politically dangerous, because also, again, the other side is not even offering anything. Joe Biden and his whole Bidenomics or whatever he's calling it, it's terrible. He wants most people, and all these polls come out that most people can't afford a $400 emergency. Most people in this country, I'm not even being hyperbolic, over 50% of the country is living paycheck to paycheck. And he wants a pat on the back saying, oh yeah, look at the unemployment rates down. You haven't raised the minimum wage since what, Obama was in office or something? It's been $7.25 as the national minimum wage. Can't afford rent in any city, anywhere in America, even in a hut in Idaho, single bedroom, you can't afford that on $7.25. So while they still ignore this, there's no health care. Joe Biden as a president said he would veto health care if it got to his desk. So if you're running that guy, not to mention he's 607 years old. So we're doing that versus Donald Trump. And they're gonna blame people like Cornel West or the Green Party or Marianne Williamson or any other person other than their own failings of why Donald Trump might end up winning the presidency from jail like a rapper.
Well, you know, Donald Trump did say that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and wouldn't go to jail. So I agree with you, CJ. And as far as the cult mentality, I agree. They are definitely a cult because Donald Trump said that he liked uneducated people. He said that. And so if I'm in his cult and he's calling me uneducated and saying that he likes me because I'm stupid and I still follow him, then I agree. It's got to be a cult because it can't be anybody with two brains of common sense. Richard, I'm sorry. Give me your opinion.
Yeah, I just want to say briefly, it's hard to keep up with the news loop. I think the news people can't even keep up because every minute this guy's getting indicted. And every second you just got to keep your kind of ear to what's going on. He's probably the king of indictments right now. I think the Republican Party, the whole party itself, is in a flux. I think that Trump feeds off the attention, obviously, and he has a base. Remember, this guy got 7 million votes, but there's people out there that still carry that Trump card, and the primaries. He's going after people that are in the primaries. Even the candidates in the primary are kind of lackadaisical in their approach, because it seems like that they're afraid that this guy may be the nominee, and if he's elected, he's going to go after them. So you look at Ron DeSantis. I mean, the people in the Republican Party don't even like him because he's too far off in the spectrum of the Republican notes. The Republican Party, not like the Democrats, they follow a certain. I'll say they can walk and chew gum. And this is the first time in my lifetime I've seen the Republican Party not be able to do that. And they're in flux. And their only hope to get into the White House is possibly Donald Trump, believe it or not. So they're treading lightly with this guy because Donald Trump, even though with all this indictment, still brings a fear factor. Now, as far as the Republican Party still has, I think President Biden still has the upper hand here. But the Republican Party has to walk and chew gum, and they, over the years, have never been able to do that. And then you have, these other Cornel West, who just came out of nowhere, and I really don't know, what his purpose is. I think he'll bring some issues to light that the Republican Party are not taking note of. But is he for the Democrat Party, or is he a political operative? We don't know. But it's going to come in time where all those votes that maybe Cornel West will gain will be taken away from Biden. And it may come down to, a photo finish at the end where Biden may win by a couple thousand or Trump might win by a couple thousand. So I think, Democratic people need to get out, get organized and vote like your life depended on it, because this thing could go right now, as I see it, any kind of way. It's a toss up. Yeah, two guys that have battled it out before are going to go. This is kind of like the rematch, and whether he's in jail. Me personally, I don't think Trump is going to go to jail. I think it's political theater, and I think it's all to distract what the real issues are, and that's to get out and vote, and get organized, and not pay attention to that theater. Whatever will happen to Trump will happen to Trump, but the votes will still have to count. And me personally, I don't think a former sitting president will be, put behind bars. And even if he is put behind bars, that's going to be political theater as well. And people will be signing up to see that. And he'll even gain more popularity, in my opinion, if he's in jail. So, there's all sides of the spectrum. And it's to me, it's a total shit show. But we'll see. And,
CJ, you chomping at the bit. I see you chomping.
Yeah,
CJ.
I had a question. When you're talking about vote and vote like your life depends on it, we've heard that over and over again. What are people voting for actually? Like why would they vote like their life depends on it? Because it seems like we get the same policies under Biden or Trump or Obama. We've had similar policies under all these presidents, and I think that's why people aren't chomping at the bit to vote, or they don't feel like their life depends on it, because Biden has governed very, very similarly to Donald Trump. He hasn't rolled back a lot of the things like the tax breaks and for the rich and all those things. We still have no health care. We still have, which is not on the agenda. No one's even talking about raising wages or health care or any of the issues that the American people care about. Those issues that Cornel West is actually bringing up and talking about. I think that's why he's in the race, to actually be a voice that brings up those issues that many of the American people actually care about. I know a lot of regular people who are struggling to pay their bills don't really care about the political theater, as you guys are talking about, whether Trump or the elites are getting indicted, or they care about whether, their wages are going to go up, or whether they're going to have affordable health care or be able to afford groceries. So that's my question is, what would motivate people to vote for Biden after we just had the 4 years that we just had under Biden?
Well, I think Cornel West is this year's Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie Sanders ran on topics similar to Cornel West. And I think he's getting the young people energized on people issues like you mentioned, but really doesn't have the political savvy to take it anywhere further than bringing up the topic itself. I think there's going to come a time where the political Democratic Party is going to have to tap him on the shoulder and say, "Hey, are you with us or are you not?"
He's not. He's in the Green Party. He's clearly not with them. Yeah, and why would he be?
Yeah, the Green Party is not going to get you in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I'll tell you that right now, because the Democratic Party, like I said before, can't walk and chew gum at the same time. They just can't. And we saw that with Bernie Sanders. So like they say, there's nothing new under the sun. And this is just an example, another example of that politically. And I think as far as the Democrats are concerned, they need to organize and address the issues like you mentioned of the people, higher wages, prices are going up, inflation, the climate. Those things we hear often with the same old rhetoric from I don't want to call it rhetoric, but political talking points, I should say, from the Democratic Party, the climate, wages. But are you actually doing? We want to see action. We want to see, Kamala Harris, for instance, is she something that we want to see again in another 4 years? That's going to play into the fact of whether Biden gets reelected or not. But if he brings that all together and kind of unites the party, so to speak, because Trump can unite the Republican Party, because Republicans will walk lock and step. If he's the nominee, they will walk lock in step with Trump. Believe it or not, they'll vote for him because, let's say, he's a Republican. I'm going to vote for him. I don't care what his policies are. I'm going to vote. The Democrats over the years have always said, well, I'm not going to vote for him because he doesn't have my issue at hand, or I'm going to vote independent. So you know what? Those votes get swayed. So like I said, it's going to come down to like a photo finish, and it's going to be the same old story at the end.
Yeah, my only problem with the narrative is instead of blaming Cornel West for taking votes from Biden, Biden could just, like you said, implement more popular policies. And then it's like, you can't take votes from him in a primary, or like I said, he's going from the Green Party. The Green Party, as you said, real small, there's not a big hope of them actually winning the presidency. So it's on Biden for being kind of a horrible candidate, and then on the Democratic Party for putting an even more unpopular candidate behind him, because you would think you would put a young up-and-coming vice president, but Kamala Harris, extremely unpopular, was unpopular before she was even picked as vice president. She just got there for the diversity, it looks like, for the ticket, but not popular. So that is my only thing, is where the Democratic Party is already blaming Cornel West for their eventual loss instead of actually addressing it themselves. Why don't you come through on any of the promises? Biden has approved more drilling than Trump. Biden, hasn't even talked about healthcare. He said he would veto it. He said he would do a public option, has thrown that away. He said they were for $15 minimum wage, threw that away. And then just talks about, he restarted the student debt payments. So these are totally avoidable things that he doesn't have to do to shoot himself in the foot. And you talk about uniting the party. Those are things that would unite the party that he refuses to do. So again, that's not Cornel West's fault that Joe Biden refuses to do things some things are 80%, 90% popular. He could legalize marijuana with executive order, free all those nonviolent drug offenders. That would be pretty popular. That would be pretty popular for a Democratic Party issue. That would be, any of those things I mentioned. But
we know,
he's not going to do
one thing for sure. Trump did a lot of stuff with executive orders. But
yes.
He did a lot of stuff with executive orders.
And it shows you can't.
And what
the
CJ
Democrats
is bringing up, it sounds like it's crazy, but yeah, he could do that with an executive order. I'm a little older than a lot of you guys, and it's funny, Richard, you mentioned Bernie Sanders, and Cornel West does remind me a lot of Bernie Sanders. I remember years ago, I had someone to tell me up on Capitol Hill, never get it confused, that there's no Republican Party, there's no Democratic Party. There's one party on Capitol Hill, and that's the Green Party. And they were talking about money. And one of the things that I have noticed with Cornel West, I've seen him in a couple of interviews. Cornel West talks about things that the rich, the 1%, do not want to hear. He talks about the same thing that Bernie Sanders when he was talking that they don't want to hear. And I agree with CJ, I agree with Richard. And the only thing I like to say, Gary, it is nice to have these two gentlemen on the Thought Brothers. And I mean, the views are amazing. And CJ, come back on anytime and speak your mind.
Let me tell you this about Cornel West. I did on our Calculations talk show channel, there's an interview with Cornel West that we recorded about 8-9 days ago. And I was looking at the analytics a week later. Cornel West was talking about the plight of the Black farmers and the injustices. That show with Cornel West, in terms of analytics, triple the views just with him talking about that issue. So there are people who are listening to him, and there are people who are watching him. Again, Richard and CJ, pretty much pinpointed it, but there are people who are listening and watching to Cornel West.
Cornel West is a well-respected intellectual.
It's very unfortunate that a lot of the American people are not familiar with what's going on with the Black farmers and how many of them have gone bankrupt. And the sad thing is these Black farmers have gone bankrupt, and next door, the white farmer has gotten 2 different loans from the Department of Agriculture. The other sad thing about that is on a couple of these committees and these boards that issues these loans, you have some African-American senators and congressmen sitting on those boards and know that these Black farmers are getting screwed and not getting the loans. And one other thing you brought up, CJ, when you talked about Kamala Harris, and it's something I know is going to come up somewhere down the road. I think the Republicans will hold on to it for the last minute. But you got to think about Biden running against Trump. You got to consider Biden's age. And I guarantee you somewhere down the line, the Republicans are going to bring up Biden's age. And if he happens to pass while he's in office or get incapacitated, who do you have that's going to take over the reins? And I do not. And I'm saying this as my own personal opinion, not the opinion of the show, but I don't think this country is ready for another African-American president.
She would probably be very similar to Obama. Like, that's why she wasn't super popular when she dropped out before, when she was running for president, before she even hit her home state. Like, she got I think she got draxed in California, and then she dropped out. So she wasn't even popular enough to win her own state in the primary. So, I mean, I don't, yeah, your assessment is correct. The Republicans, like, will definitely hit that home because she's super unpopular. She's very cringy. Her policies weren't great when she was in as a prosecutor and all that. So yeah, that was a mistake that the Democrats walked into. Even, some other younger candidate would have been great. Biden's over here falling down. He's constantly forgetting where he's at. He's wandering around. It's getting bad. The cognitive decline that they're trying to pretend isn't happening is, everyone can see it. Even people who are not super politically engaged can look at Joe Biden and be like, he looks like he's too old for this. Looks like he needs a nap. Man needs to go chill somewhere. So yeah, it's rough.
Gary, it reminds me, going back in retrospect and thinking back, you remember when John McCain was running for president?
Yep.
And what they threw on him was Sarah Palin.
Yep.
And Biden, what did they throw on him? Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
she's not very popular.
No.
Yeah, she has a popularity issue. I don't know where that stems from. Maybe it's her policies, maybe it's her approach. I know she's had some staffing issues with retainment of her staff. It seems like it's kind of like a revolving door. So there's some issues there, and the Republican Party is smart enough to kind of pinpoint that out. And so far as the age is concerned, yeah, that's going to be a topic of discussion when we get into the heat of this race. Along with all the issues and things that are going on with Trump. So I think it's going to come down to the wire. And to Bill's point, I don't think America is ready for Kamala Harris. I just don't. I mean, people within our own party don't like her, you know. So I think there's going to be a problem with that. I think to go back to Cornel West, I think Cornel West has an opportunity to kind of galvanize and pump life into the Democratic Party indirectly with the issues and the topics that he'll bring up that are like the farmers and like wages and things of that nature. Those topics need to be at the forefront, not the same old rhetoric that we hear from the Democratic Party year after year and just expect the black vote to usher you in. The black folks are savvy. We have issues. We want things done, you know, and we our voices want to be heard. So I think Biden is going to have to take note of that and is going to have to really fine tune his campaign to implement some of those top front of mind issues that are on, you know, just common folk, the middle class minds and lower class minds, and because they haven't been addressed at all. You know, we had 8 years of Obama, and what did we get? I'm just going to bring Obama. We had 8 years of Obama. 8 years.
He bailed out bankers. He bailed out Wall Street. You know, the people who were his donors. You know, he gave us a right-wing healthcare plan that has imploded. Let's see, that was Mitt Romney's. Obamacare was Romney Care before that he rebranded so that it would pass.
Yeah.
So he gave us all Republican policies, just gave us the black man to give us that to try to pacify us. But going back to Cornel, I just wanted to add with the Cornel West point, that's the reason he's not running as a Democrat, because the Democratic Party, those are not their priorities. They're actually against those things. I think the Democrats, they proved with Bernie Sanders, as you guys pointed out, what came out afterwards is they coalesced to make sure he wouldn't win. He had the momentum to actually take out Biden. Then guess what? Obama made calls to Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, all of them. They all dropped out the same day and endorsed Biden to coalesce those votes to make sure that Bernie, even though he had the natural momentum, he had the young people, he had the energy and the excitement, he's filling up rallies. They needed to stop that. They had to stop Bernie Sanders' campaign from within the Democratic Party. And we just talked about the priorities that Bernie Sanders and people like Cornel West have. So that shows that the Democratic Party, not only are they not embracing those things, they are diametrically opposed to them. Like Biden said he would veto healthcare because he wants to keep the for-profit system going. There's things like, so that's why Cornel West is not in the Democratic Party and running in the Green Party as a disruptor. He needs to pressure the Democratic Party with that narrow margin that we talked about for votes to try to drag them left, even nominally left on any of these issues, because if there's not a Cornel West in the race, they're not even going to address it. They're not even going to even pretend to care. And then that's going to lead to them losing. Then we're going to get a President Trump from behind Rikers or something. Like, I don't, you know, like.
So let me ask you a question, CJ. Do you foresee the Democratic Party doing the same thing to Cornel West that they did to Biden?
They already are. They're smearing Cornel West, even though he is a well-respected intellectual for years. He is, by all accounts, if you follow politics for a while, Cornel West has been a voice of reason for a long time. And then, so it's very hard to smear a guy like that who has such a consistent track record. But they're going to try. And like I said, they're already trying to blame him if Biden loses because Cornel West took the black votes away from Biden. How does he take the votes away? Biden could implement the same policies as Cornel West, and then you get all those votes. So like that's BS. And like I hate the framing of that. And they're going to try to throw him under the bus in every which way. You're going to hear every type of smear about Cornel West coming from the Democratic Party. And because they did the same thing to Bernie. They did the same thing to Bernie. And like
Cornel West and Bernie Sanders have something in common. They do not kowtow or cater to the 1%. And so that's why they're on that.
That's why, they have organic support, not that fake DC support that Biden has of just people in the Beltway circle, but real people showed up to Bernie Sanders had all small dollar donations. It wasn't big companies because he doesn't take big super PAC money. Exactly. So he's taking money from regular people, you know, like $7 donation, $20 donation here. Those are real people putting in. And like, again, people like Biden or Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg or somebody or Gavin Newsom, they don't have that real organic following. And that's what's going to be dangerous to go up against Trump, who has a cult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we always end the show on the last word. So Richard, I'm gonna give you the last word. And then I'll go to CJ and then Gary, and then I'll close it out.
Well, just kind of, surmise, I'll just stay on topic, with talking about, Dr. Cornel West. I think, like CJ was saying, like with Bernie Sanders, they're for the people, not the 1%. And the 1%, they control a lot of the influence. They put the money into the war chest for a lot of these campaigns. They can smear, they can put out whatever they want in the press and the news, but it's up to the people that that want change, that want to see change, to get behind Dr. Cornel West. And I think, it could be something, something magical if we all were to get behind his policies and force the Democratic Party to listen to the issues of the Black farmers, to listen to the issues of wages and things like healthcare. And I think that it's an exciting time in politics, but it's also a scary time as well. Whatever's going to happen to Trump is going to happen to Trump, but we need to focus on the real issues that matter to the people, and that's all that matters. Because we're going to have to live with either president, and also whether they're going to be able to control the House. That's another issue. Or we're going to have another 4 years of executive orders and nothing getting done. So that's also a point of correction and a point of note. So that's my take on it.
CJ, give me your last word.
Well, yeah, to piggyback off that, the whole thing with the House is and the Senate and things like that, but they do get things done. It's just the things that don't serve the American people. They're real quick to give Ukraine some more money for war. Like that's going to be done overnight, consensus, Democrats, Republicans, they'll be high-fiving in back rooms. That'll get done immediately. If they're lowering taxes for themselves and their donors, that gets done immediately, no matter which party's in there. Anything that is not helping the American people and that is enriching their donors in the military industrial complex, that gets done. Things get done in DC. Money gets moved, it gets put. We have the budget, we have the resources for there to be no homeless people. That's a policy choice. That's a policy choice that we make. We got enough housing in America for every person. We have enough food for we have the resources in the richest country in the world. We make a policy choice to have this extreme level of income equality. And the people in Congress and in the Senate, like you kind of alluded to before, they're paid by those donors to keep that status quo going. So there needs to be people like Cornel West and disruptors in the system, because it doesn't work for anyone but the big donors at this point. ExxonMobil, all the big people that bought all the politicians, because they don't work for us anymore.
Well, you're right. They can, and one thing you did not mention, CJ, they can always find money to give themselves a raise. Gary.
Always.
All right. I'm looking for the Congressional Black Caucus.
Whoa.
Where are they? I'll leave it at that.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I can tell you where they are. They probably planning their next party for DC at the next convention. I'll close it out by saying this. I agree with CJ. I don't think Donald Trump is going to go to jail. And I will say this. If he does go to jail and he gets the Republican nomination, it's going to be a sad state of affairs. And the United States is going to be an embarrassment all over the world. I mean, you think about what's going on here right now. Foreign countries are watching. Just like we always reporting the news on Iran, we always reporting the news on Iraq and everybody else, they are reporting the news on the United States. And the news that they're reporting is a joke. That you can have a man to go into the White House to represent the United States who is a convicted felon, or can be president from behind bars. And the other thing that really, I don't see the rationale behind it, because I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day. He was convicted of a gun charge when he was 20 years old. He's now 50 some years old, and he's never been in jail or anything. He's not allowed to vote because he's a convicted felon. But there's no law that precludes a convicted felon from becoming president of the United States. You're the musician, man. Tell me what's going on in your life this week.
So my band, we're going to be playing at the Southeast Business and Community Festival this weekend. We're going to be playing right before Trayon White actually speaks early in the day. So you can catch us in DC at the festival. It's going to be all types of events and, networking, business leaders, other artists, all types of stuff going on, like I said, politicians, things like that. So we'll be there Saturday. And then Sunday night, we're going to be in Waldorf in Maryland. We're going to be at Club 919. My friend owns the bar there, and we're going to be doing we have a residency for the month of August. So we're there every Sunday night. I'm throwing shows there, hand-picked artists. I'm picking the artists myself. So we have comedians, poets, singers, all types of stuff. And they're going to be opening up for us every Sunday. So we'll be there Sunday night. The show starts at 8, doors open at 8, show starts at 9, actually.
And this is in Waldorf.
Yep, Waldorf. It's called Bar 919. It's right off of Crane Highway next to the Thai seafood. So we're there Sunday night.
I know exactly where it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll be playing a nice long set, and we'll be there for the rest of the month. We'll be there every Sunday for a little mini residency that we have there. So those are our next 2 shows, and we have a lot more coming up after that.
Okay. So
And what's the name of your band?
We're the Cortland Experiment. You can find us at Cortland Music on Instagram. And yeah, we're a 3-piece rock band. We do all types of different genres that we blend with rock music. So we do covers, we do, some funk, some stuff like that. So we do a little bit of everything. So be sure to check us out. You can check us out on Instagram. We got some new music coming out soon. So we're working on that. Been really busy. It's been the business has been picking up. It's been an exciting time for the band and trying to take our games to the next level, get some new music out, play some more shows. Just a lot of fun playing shows. A lot of people have been very positive and really enjoying the music and enjoying the environment of the show. So really looking to just continue to build on that, and appreciate everybody who supported us so far. We also have some new shirts that we have available next week. So we'll finally have some new shirts that'll be available, $20 a pop. They're a white version of the design that we had before, but yes, be sure to check us out. You can find that on Instagram as well.
Okay. Sounds good. And Gary, I want to get me one of those shirts that the brother's selling from the Riverboat Brawl or the Riverfront Brawl. He's already got T-shirts out of it.
I saw that. I saw the dude on Instagram or TikTok sitting in the car with his shirt on. That was the same day.
That's how quick it is, brother. It went
had
down.
his shirt on the same day.
Yeah.
I'm like, he done went to press the same day, hours later.
He must got pressed in his basement or something.
Yeah, man. But the ingenuity of our people, man.
Yeah.
Hours later,
amazing.
man, we in the basement pressing.
This is amazing. Put it
You
on
know,
the T-shirt.
we putting together memes and recreating Stone Cold Steve Austin, the stunner.
Yep.
And I like the new carry weapon. I won't forget that one, the new carry weapon.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is buckle a chair onto your belt and you get a new carry weapon.
Oh man.
Hey guys. Okay.
Right. Yeah, we in Thought Brothers, and we are out of here. Be safe, everybody.
Good night.